Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Football. Tonight, Derek McInnes says he's committed to Aberdeen as he celebrates picking up the Manager of the Month award. Celtic captain Scott Brown is an injury worry ahead of the match against Motherwell after picking up a knock in training. And with ticket prices under close scrutiny, are we being fleeced in Scotland in the Premiership and beyond? Just a few of the topics I'll be discussing alongside Alan Ruff and myself, Peter Martin. Our Bootroom guest is the respected journalist Hugh MacDonald.
The Boot Room, sponsored by Third Dimension Framing.
So there's Hugh, nicely alongside Alan Ruff, who's been to the supermarket and just went to the nice smelly bit of the counter and sprayed himself with stuff that he didn't have to pay for. And I have to say, the studio smells absolutely fantastic tonight, Hugh, doesn't it?
It's like Mr. Sheen he's got. What Mr. Sheen was an aftershave.
That's what the testers are there for.
Yeah, absolutely. You're at that level. Are you really at that level now? Listen, you two guys, lots to talk about in the programme. Strange one. The sponsor gives Derek McInnes
memories, the recent memories of Aberdeen would be they're in a tailspin. You know, they knocked out the League Cup by Hibs. I know the League Cup doesn't count in this, but knocked out of that and then beaten by Ross County, and then my favourite word, tonked by St Johnstone. I know it's this month, but it does seem September now. It seems a long time ago. But having said that, up to then he had won every Premier League match, so
yeah.
Fair on it.
The other point I was going to make, Ruffy, with regards to Derek McInnes, it's strange how a rumour can just gather a lot of pace, especially in these days of social media. Suddenly everybody's on it. You know, there's something happened, the suggestion that there's been a huge argument or whatever. Derek McInnes just looking and thinking, this is mad.
And it's good that Aberdeen came out very, very quickly to dispel all these rumours. It's a thing you don't want at the club. You don't want these kind of things hanging about, and to knock them in the head so quick was good for them, you know. But the bookies are only doing their job, you know. They're going to attract people into the shops to put bets on, and certainly there would have been a few people diving into that.
No. But it's really amazing the power of social media now, particularly Twitter, you know, because as we all know, during the Rangers story, when it was at its most chaotic,
yes.
I mean, the tweets were going around there, you know, that you had to chase a lot of them up as well, because particularly the Rangers story, when you thought something was too ludicrous to even be half true, it suddenly became suddenly became the most kosher story, the most authentic story of the night.
Yeah.
I just find it, I think Aberdeen are right to sort of clamp down on it, but it just makes you think, this power of Twitter now, do clubs have to come out and make statements all the time about what's happening on Twitter?
Yeah, I mean, it's a slight inconvenience, but at the end of the day, if you have to quash a rumour, so what? You quash a rumour. You know, it wouldn't be the first time, let me tell you, that a club has tried to put the bookies are actually right on the mark with something, but in this case we have to take him at face value. He's there, he's Aberdeen manager, he's won Manager of the Month, and he's committed to them, and they're involved in what I think will be listen, we look at tough tests from the top end of the table. I actually am looking at Ross County and thinking they could take Aberdeen tomorrow night.
Well, I mean, you've got to say, well, why not? I mean, they've already beaten them. They're in great form. They have a manager who I was always very impressed with Queen of the South. I thought he set up his teams really clever at Queen of the South. Him and Billy Dodds have done the same now. They've got a goal scorer in good form. They'll not be taking a backward step tomorrow night. I mean, they'll be going for it. Be interested to see what the bookies' odds are in that game. Yeah. But I would imagine that you'll not get the price you would have got in Ross County last season, for example.
Yeah, and of course, again, I like his attitude, Ruffy, because here is Jim McIntyre suddenly brings in Alex Schalk, so he's added to his strike force as well.
Yeah, and they're in a good position in the league. They're in a comfortable position, there's no doubt about that. And Hugh's right, they'll go there with a lot of confidence with the results that they've had this year. And that pressure of being in the bottom six isn't there this year for the first time in a long while. So, no, they'll certainly go there with a lot of confidence.
Yep, absolutely. OK, that's Ross County against Aberdeen, and well done to Derek for winning the Manager of the Month. As far as some of the other news emerging today, just a slight injury worry for Scott Brown ahead of the match at the weekend. I mean, I would presume Motherwell will get their lift, and we had Stephen Pearson in yesterday looking forward to taking on Scott Brown, but he's picked up a little knock. He's gone for a scan and they'll wait and assess if he's fit or not.
Yeah, well, I think this would probably be the time to leave Scott Brown out. You know, he's played in just about every game that's been going about in the last 2 years, so he's picked up an injury. I would like to think that Celtic have got enough in reserve, you know, to take him out for this game. And certainly there are one young boy, Scott Allen, who would be desperate to get some kind of game, and I'm sure the fans would love to see him as well. Not in obviously the Scott Brown position, but I'm sure that this is the time when you introduce these kind of players.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of options in midfield, Celtic. I mean, it's difficult even to know that midfield five, as we call it, the two holding and the three in front. We generally know who he likes for the two holding, but he's got so many options for three in front. So Scott Brown's going to be a miss for Celtic. He's kind of talismanic captain, as we know, but Celtic have more than enough resources there.
Yeah, I wouldn't, just briefly, Hugh, I wouldn't like to see Scott Brown chucking at Scotland. I think he's one of those players who remains so fit that you could see him playing 34, 35, 36.
I don't know, Pierre, you know better than me, but I don't get the sense that he wants to chuck it either, you know. No. And there was the big discussion about after the Scotland game was, you know, who would, you know, will Gordon Strachan draw a line under it and bin guys? I don't think he's likely to bin Scott Brown, you know. I mean, I think he'll look that Scott Brown's very influential for him, very influential in the dressing room for him. But so I don't see Scott leaving, no.
Yeah, I'd be gobsmacked if he stopped one game away from being in the Hall of Fame. I think he's sitting on 49 just now.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what you do in the game. You can earn as much money as you like out of the game. You can win trophies, but you're a part of history. And I don't know why he would stop just one game away from it.
In other news, of course, some of the players were talking yesterday ahead of the revamped League Cup. One of them was the Dundee United player Paul Paton. Of course, United have a new manager, and Paton believes that quite a few of them will get a lift and maybe a kick up the backside.
Maybe kick a few backsides. It's the way he played, big, rugged striker, so I think you want to add a bit of steel to the team. We've got good players there, we just need to get out of the position we are.
Yeah, I love the way players react after getting one manager the sack and now they want to lift themselves for the other manager.
There's an almost like a process, isn't it? With every manager, they say, "Oh yeah, you know, we'll put our best foot forward for this new manager." And you go, "Well, wait a wee minute." I think the Mixu apparently talked really well at his press conference, and he will lay down the law. But as you and I know, there's more to it than that at Dundee United. I mean, I'm not surprised that Dundee United are struggling, not only because they've lost a lot of players, but because the whole thing is trying to bring a new ethos, a new replacement into the team. The most crucial players, that doesn't just take 6 months to sort. You know, Mix will come in and impose his shape and he dictates on it, but I don't think there's a swift and easy solution there.
Yeah, the main crux of his chat was that he reckoned some of the players weren't hungry enough, Ruffy.
Well, that's up to the players. There's no doubt about that. Sometimes there can be players at a club far too long. They just get into the same old routine, particularly the ones who aren't in the 11. They just throw the towel in. So I would expect him to go in and he'll look at the players Monday to Friday. He'll assess the ones who are still hungry, and the other ones will be moved on.
Yeah, I think I've got to say well done to Dundee United. They unveiled today a tribute to Eddie Thompson at the Eddie Thompson stand, and it's more or less a little shrine that people who knew Eddie and the way he operated at Dundee United, they can walk past it and see exactly what he meant to the club.
He was a really extraordinary character, wasn't he? He was sort of, could be abrasive, could be, you didn't know what was coming from. But the bottom line with the Thompson families, they put an awful lot of money into that club. That club's there because the Thompson family put their hands into their pockets.
Yeah, absolutely. OK, coming up in the next part of the programme, we're going to get Ruffy and Hugh's thoughts on ticket pricing. Are you happy with the ticket price that you have to pay for your club? What about travelling to some of the other clubs? That's going to be the main crux of our chat. We'll also look at some of the weekend games coming up. Of course, there's no Peter and Ruffy football show tomorrow because of the STV Children's Appeal. So we'll look at some of the games for the Saturday, and let's not forget also that our show's back on Saturday afternoon at 2 o'clock if you can join us. More after the break on the ticket pricing. Join us if you can.
Hi, I'm Chris Sutton. To win this beautiful signed shirt from me, which club did Celtic sign me from?
Hi, I'm Craig Turnbull, and don't forget you can watch the PLZ Soccer News headlines Monday to Friday by clicking on the link below.
Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's football show. Alan Ruff is with me, Peter Martin. Tonight we have Hugh MacDonald in the boot room.
The Boot Room, sponsored by Third Dimension Framing.
Hugh, we're going to talk a wee bit about Rangers, obviously their match at the weekend against Queen of the South, but we're also going to talk about ticket pricing. This is something which is a BBC investigation and report, more than an investigation if I'm going to be precise about it all, on ticket pricing right across Great Britain. Obviously there are some fans down south that are really unhappy, and it's gathered a bit of pace now about the pricing of the tickets, and they want something done about it. Up here, some ticket prices have fallen. Are the fans being fleeced as much up here?
I don't think so, and it's easy for me to say that because, as you know, as professional journalists, we don't put our hands in their pockets with anything like the regularity of the local punter. But I think the problem in Scotland is that the ticket prices and ticket admission is so much part of a club's budget, whereas down south with the television money that they get, the billions they get for television, you think there would be more leeway for them to be, shall we say, more reasonable with the fans. I know the Bayern Munich fans, for example, are you know, deeply unhappy with the prices at Arsenal for the Champions League match. Talk of a protest there, and the prices in England at times can be, you know, you're talking about 75 quid for a game sometimes.
Well, I was going to say to you, Hugh, if you're up here and you're a Celtic fan and you see a release from Kilmarnock, I mean, we mentioned it yesterday, and almost in disbelief looked at it and said, you know, we're going to give everybody a flat rate of £20, but not Celtic. I mean, that's a kick in the teeth.
It's also a kick in the teeth when Celtic fans, A, have got to travel, and B, can watch it elsewhere, namely on a screen.
Yes.
It doesn't seem like commercial sense to me. I think there's got to be some radical thinking done in Scotland about ticket pricing, getting people through the gate for a variety of reasons to improve the match day experience, as the professionals would say, but to get more people in to actually watch the game and maybe come back. I know Motherwell have been very proactive about this in the past with mixed results, but I really think it's a way forward in Scotland. England's different because I think they're trying to be greedy in 2 counts.
Yeah, I mean, I always look at, I mean, next year is a classic case where if Rangers come back to the Premiership in Scotland, suddenly you could have an inflated price from 2 broadcasters, possibly a third broadcaster, depending on how resolute the SPFL are in their dealings with the BBC. But you could have 3 main broadcasters battling it out again. Now, I maintain, Hugh, that I don't think even an inflated price on the broadcast deal would get any kind of reduction for fans. And that's the argument that they've got down south, as you mentioned. It's greed. There's no reduction in the price, and they're taking billions in.
But I think the scale of what Scottish football is going to get out of the broadcasters is still going to be really at the low end. I mean, we're talking about, if even if the top club and the club that wins the title gets $1.5 million, $2 million, I mean, the clubs down south are getting 60 million a game, not a season, a game. I mean, it's just, The thing's just going. The thing's just going crazy in England. It's just going crazy. The whole business model has now tipped that really attendance doesn't really matter. They're not factoring that in as a vital component of their budgets. Whereas up here, and particularly somewhere like Celtic, it's a huge part of their budget.
Yeah, Ruffy, I'd still even like to elongate this argument and add to it. You know, the fans. If you're looking for some kind of reduction in price, I'd love to see a standing area, a safe standing area, and lots of grounds return.
Yeah, I'd like to see more teams taking a gamble and reducing the price dramatically. You know, there's nothing worse than you tune into, you see the highlights in the Scottish football, and every stadium is empty. I mean sections, full sections, then you flick the control button and you look at Swansea versus somebody, and the stadium's absolutely jam-packed. It's jumping. It's not to say the football's any better, but the atmosphere's there. So why not take the gamble? Like, we're just picking Kilmarnock. Why not say £15 and just see how many people you could drag along there and fill that stadium?
I was going to say, Hugh, it's a hefty day out. Listen, it's £2.50 for a cup of tea, water, tea bag. Hello.
Well, and that. By the way, that adds to Alan's theory about getting more people through the door, because if you get more people through the door, you get more people buying stuff, you know, whether it's merchandise or catering, you know.
What we're doing is putting people off.
Yeah.
You know, we're forcing people away rather than trying to attract them in. It's not as if you're going there and getting a full package day. No, you're turning up for a game at, say, 3 o'clock, watching an hour and a half, and then you're away down the road. You're not getting entertained by anything else, so they should be doing as much as possible to get the public in.
I think there's, you know, Celtics are moving to want to have the sort of licensing thing before the game, you know, have the bar at Celtic Park, so that, you know, if you're drinking before the game, you're drinking and the money's going into Celtic's coffers.
Well, I was going to say something to you, and again, it's another little, almost digressing completely away from the ticket pricing, but again, you know, you only get things through challenging, you know, certain laws or forcing a change. But again, I still think even Scottish football is being treated differently from other sports. I mean, I do not know how they get away with not allowing drink in sporting venues for football when we're watching the Rugby World Cup and everybody's enjoying a pint down south. Somebody will challenge that.
Well, it's extraordinary, because I was down at Twickenham last year for the England-Scotland match, and people say, yeah, but the rugby fans know how to behave themselves.
Yeah.
It's absolute tosh.
Yeah, I was just about to say, it's all football fans thick, can't handle themselves. I mean, surely the same law for somebody who's out of order and drunk in rugby is the same for somebody who's out of order and drunk in football.
It's policed differently as well, Peter. They're much more easy on rugby fans. I mean, at Twickenham, I saw behaviour that if I'd been walking at a football match, there'd be vans going and sirens going, but it was all white middle-class people wandering back into London Central, and a lot of them, you know, really, you know, out of order, you know,
yes.
And all carefully policed, and get home safely, sir.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think we might have lost a couple of them for the audience, but then again, we're only telling the truth. Listen, one law for one law for the others. It's a debate for another programme.
It's myself and Peter's view.
Well done, Robbie. The views of Hugh MacDonald, not necessarily. We like you rugby fans who can behave right out of order. Anyway, on to the next thing. Mark Warburton. Rangers now making moves. Frank McParlin brought in as the head of recruitment. That's a positive step. That's something that they wanted to address. And over and above that, I think one of the guys who's been there training forever and a day, John Eustace, I think Mark Warburton eventually now is suggesting he will get a deal close to the next couple of days.
They were very hopeful of that for the last couple of weeks. I was actually I was along at Rangers the other day there, and I knew there was somebody coming in as coach to give us a hand. That's good news for Rangers if they're looking at recruitment and bringing a guy in for recruitment, because one thing's for sure, they'll have to recruit, because I think there's certainties to be in the Premiership next year.
Yeah, I would agree as well. You know, you have to look ahead. You have to start identifying people who are in your budget, people who will identify are possibly a bit better than what you've got just now, because it'll be a big step next year.
Yeah, and as far as the east of Scotland, some of the quotes coming out, James Keatings is confident that Hibs can still catch Rangers. Well, if that's the case, Ruffy, at the weekend, there can be no slip up against Dumbarton. They've slipped up before.
Too many slip-ups, that's been the problem, but I would like to see James getting a wee run. I think we're all looking for something from him. I'm sure Hibs are as well. He's just been on the fringe at all the other clubs he's been at, but he certainly can score some terrific goals.
Yep. Do you see any shocks from the weekend? Saturday, we're on at 2 o'clock. Hugh, I'm looking at Motherwell get a lift, but will they be able to do enough?
The Motherwell have got a gap to cross, haven't they? I mean, yeah, the usual managerial bounces go. I think Celtic will be too good for them. I think the big game in the weekend we'll be talking about on Saturday morning is what goes on in Ross County Aberdeen. I think that, I mean, the other games have all got their own narrative, but Ross County Aberdeen's a big match for Aberdeen.
Yeah, and I think, Ruffy, it's only right and proper that we highlight the fact that we are going for Hamilton to win against Dundee, because the Accies fans are all over us at the moment, and we're right behind them for this weekend. I'm going for them, are you?
Well, if you're going for them, I'll go for them as well.
Yeah. I'm going to finish off just on just one note that probably isn't the best, but I know they battled well in the first leg, lost 1-0 to Chelsea. But in the end, Glasgow City, the girls just maybe not so much outclassed, but just 3-0 suggests they were outclassed, Ruffy, but they're out of the Champions League.
Yeah, it was unfortunate they got a team of that quality. You know, bags of European experience. You know, it's another learning curve, but I'm sure they'll take something out of that game and move on.
Okay, thanks very much to Hugh MacDonald for joining us here on the programme. We're away to make him a cup of tea at £3.17. We're not budging on our prices here with Hugh in the studio. He's got a fair few quid to shelve out. Hopefully you'll join us on Saturday if you can. 2 o'clock, we'll have reporters at the key games. We'll be promoting Scottish football. If you get a chance, get out and support the game and watch a team near you. From Ruffy and myself, thanks for watching. Good night. Thanks for watching Peter and Ruffy's Football Show. If you enjoyed the programme and you'd like to see much more, click on plzsoccer.com. We've got archive programmes from Peter and Ruffy. We've got the Boot Room, Dream Team, all the latest up-to-date news in Scottish football and beyond. And you can win yourself a few prizes for the competitions on each of the pages. There's lots more content. All you have to do is click on plzsoccer.com.